Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The topic that was identified for this visit, not just this evening, but some other programs during this visit to central New Jersey. The theme is personalities from Ramayana, as you see on the screen here. And I thought a good place to begin is Lakshmana. Anybody here so far not familiar with Ramayana? It needs kind of introduction to Ramayana. You're all quite familiar. You two quite familiar? Ramayana? A little? There were four brothers, and the oldest of the four brothers was the second of the four brothers, Bharata. And then there's two brothers, Lakshmana and Shatrughna. And they not represent, they're manifestations of the same four that are called the Chatur Vyuha, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradumna, and Aniruddha. This little boy, you don't know who those four are, but if you pay attention, you'll learn. Vasudeva is same as Krishna. Krishna is the son of Vasudeva, and the son of Vasudeva becomes Vasudeva. Vasudeva. And then Krishna's elder brother. Krishna had an elder brother. The elder brother's name was Balaram. Balaram is the manifestation of which of those four? Krishna is Vasudeva, and Balaram is Sankarsana. Sankarsana. So that means that's what Lakshmana is also, right? Because in Krishna Lila, there's Krishna and Balaram, and in Ram's Lila, it's Ramachandra and Lakshmana. The Vasudeva feature and the Sankarsana feature. And there's another very special feature of Lakshmana, same as Lord Nityananda. Nityananda to Lord Chaitanya is same correlation, corresponding position. So both, or all three, Nityananda, Lakshmana, and Balaram, they manifest, according to Chaitanya Charitamrita, which tattva, their essential tattvas to understand about the pastimes of the Lord. Which tattva does each of those three represent? Guru tattva. Guru tattva. What the function of guru in Guru tattva is to give to other people Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, or introduce them to the devotion, loving service. And they do both by their teaching and by their conduct, their prachar and their achar. So Lakshmana, this nice painting, he likes very much, as Nityananda likes, as Balaram likes. He likes being in service. So the one who likes to give service to the personality of Godhead, even he's in that same Vishnu Tattva category himself. He's teaching by example. He's teaching by his precept and he's preaching by example. Constant service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because of that mood of service, or through the medium of the mood of service, it helps one who's a sadhaka like us become eligible to receive realizations from the personality of Godhead. Eligibility is through the medium of service, loving service. So that's Lakshmana. He has abundant realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's as easy as anything for him to have his mind absorbed in the Supreme, in Ramachandra, to serve him always in any and every circumstance, even when it's difficult, because it happens. Personality of Godhead gave Lakshmana some very difficult services. And because Ramchandra wanted, he did. Very difficult. I'm going to mention two of them. One of those two was escorting Sita to go to the forest when she was pregnant. He, Lakshmana, understood the effect and the loving affection of Sita and Ram. He was with them for 12 years in the forest, or 11 years in the forest. So he knew the intimacy of their loving dealing in person, because he was always by Ramachandra's side. And for Ramachandra to send Sita to the forest, it was it was how he could do such a thing. But he was given the service by Ramachandra. Take Sita to the forest and leave her in the ashram of Valmiki. So I'm gonna just tell a few stories. In the epilogue, there are different sections of Valmiki Ramayana. In the epilogue, which is a, 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 um, a way that Krishna Dharma expressed some things that come in the final section, Uttarakhanda section. How, when, when there was she was taken by a chariot. The chariot was the royal chariot, and the royal chariot was driven by the royal charioteer. Who was the royal charioteer? Sumantra? Sumantra, right? Yes? You agree? You're not sure. You've heard his name before, Sumantra? No? Sumantra. Chariot driver. Chariot driver. Sumantra. Sumantra is the same one that drove the chariot when Ram, Sita, and Lakshmana are on the chariot to take them into the forest. Sumantra, the chariot driver. So that was one of his service. He was a minister, but he was a chariot driver. And sometimes ministers do service like that in very confidential ways. So now it's different. It's Sita in the back with pregnant Sita, and in the front, it's Sumantra and Lakshmana. And Lakshmana is bewildered. He's emotionally torn apart. But Ramchandra wanted it, so he did what Ramchandra wanted, because that's what the servant does, what the master wants. But it tore his heart, because he knew what that meant. It meant what it means for Sita, what it means for Ramachandra. So there's a very nice dialogue between the two, between Sumantra and Lakshmana. So Lakshmana is saying, why? He's the supreme person. He has realization. He's the supreme personality of Godhead. He can create and annihilate universes effortlessly. He could, he could annihilate anybody that's saying bad things about Sita, and finish. And so he's all powerful. He's all knowing. He know that she's done nothing, and already there was the test to verify there was nothing inappropriate. She's completely pure, so why is he doing this? And there's different explanations, given by acharyas about why he did. But Sumantra says, long ago, when I was the chariot driver of Dasarath, there was an exchange between Dasarath and Durvasa Muni. Now, Durvasa Muni, Durvasa Muni, right? Partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. Easily angered, easily pleased. So he visited the palace of Dasarath, and Dasarath was very happy. And he wasn't intimidated at all. He served him so nicely that uh, he offered any benediction that the king wanted. He just, I just want to please you. That's all I want to do. So Durvasa Muni then told him a story of how your son, your eldest son, not born yet, eldest son, would have this great difficulty. He told this whole narration long before it happened that his wife, the scene that's just now happening. So there's it's probably easier if what to do, and we're done that right now. Send me a little text message that reminds me to send you this little document of the conversation between, yeah. So the rest of what he says, he predicted what's happening. So what the words of a great sage have to have to be honored. So they're being honored. If you want to understand why, the words of a great sage will prevail. So that's why it's happening. And she'll be okay. That basically that's the reassurance. So then she's deposited at Valmiki's ashram, and they come back with an empty chariot behind them. So the mantra also had an understanding of, the misfortune that was about to happen, and the heroism of Lakshmana to carry out the order of Ramchandra. He's his brother. He's not like a servant, but his mood is that of obedient servant. And therefore a kind of intimacy between the two. There's another nice narration that I like very much. I haven't gotten past the first slide, but that's okay. It's Ramayana. At a certain point in time in Ramayana, the Kishkinda Kanda section of Ramayana, Ram make a friendship with Sugriva, Vanara king, Sugriva. And when the two of them meet, that the arrangement for them to meet was made by, well, several people in sequence of events, but it was a plan whereby Sugriva, who had his wife kidnapped by his brother, Bali, that Ramchandra had his wife kidnapped by Ravana, that they would make a bond of friendship and help one another regain their wife and their kingdom, please their wife. And when that meeting took place, there was two events where Sugriva is honoring Ramachandra by making a nice sitting place for him. And then he in turn secondly made a sitting place for himself, but he didn't honor Lakshmana in offense because Lakshmana is the representative of, an intimate associate of, and the Guru Tat, the representative of personality of God. And so not properly honoring was an offense to Deva. Then it happened a second. So when it came to challenging Bali, Ram made a plan. The plan was, you he's inside the palace, but you go make some noise outside the palace and challenge him to come out for a duel. When he comes out for the duel, then I'll see both of you, and I can fire an arrow and finish him. And that way you can get your wife, because he's kidnapped your wife. And that's punishable by death penalty, cohabiting with another man's wife. What speak of, he's your younger brother. Younger brother is to be protected, dealt with like your son, older brother, younger brother. And cohabiting with your brother's, your son's wife, it's punishable by murder, or by death penalty. So that was the reason why he was doing this, because he's to be punished such a heinous act. But when they were engaged in combat, Ramchandra didn't fire his arrow. He showed his power, shot to show Sugriva his power. He shot one arrow through 7 trees, tall trees, hardwood trees. Boom, 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 boom. And do it. So, but he didn't fire his arrow. So when Sugriva escaped with the beaten badly, and he found, because he went up Rishamukh mountain, because Bali wouldn't go up Rishamukh mountain because there was a curse by a nearby sage. If you ever go to this place, instantly you'll die. And he didn't want to die, so he didn't go up the mountain. And so Sugriva asked Ramachandra, why didn't you fire this arrow? And his answer was, I couldn't tell the difference between the two of you. You look so much alike. And then there's commentary by our acharyas that displays not just look alike. Besides, he's omniscient. He can tell the difference between one Vanara and another Vanara. Even they may look alike, he can tell the difference. The answer given by our acharyas, the Sri Vaishnava acharyas, is he's sinful and you're sinful. He's an offender and you're an offender. And the offender, you, Sugriva, the offender is you didn't properly respect Lakshmana twice. And that not failure to respect is a kind of disrespect. And so you're an offender and he's an offender. I couldn't tell the difference between the two. But he corrected it without telling him you're an offender. He said, if you wear a garland, then you go back and challenge him again. Then I'll be able to tell who's who because you're wearing the garland. But it was a trick, or a transcendental trick. That is, Lakshmana made the garland. And then to receive the garland from Lakshmana, he had to bow down. So he bowed down and received Lakshmana's garland, thus tacitly forgiven for his offense. And the acharyas say this is one of the features of Ramachandra. Even without saying something, he was able to correct somebody's offense, knowing what he was doing, correcting his offense. And it's not Lakshmana said, you offended me, and now I'm going to forgive you, so it's okay. It wasn't one of those. It was just a gesture, an unspoken gesture of forgiveness for an offense. So the Lakshmana's role in some places obvious, in some places not so obvious. His role was a Guru Tattva and intimate associate of Lord Ramachandra. Now, one of the um, most celebrated commentators on Ramayana is Sri Vaishnava Acharya named Govindaraj. You heard his name before? Govindaraj. Number one. It's like, for us, it's Rupa Goswami because we're Rupanugas, and the Sri Vaishnavas have love for Ramachandra and Ramlila and Ramayana, and Govindaraja is number one, Acharya Govindaraja. So one of the things that he has written in his extensive commentaries is there are 18 cardinal lessons to be learned in the whole of Ramayana. And here's the first of those characteristics, Sheshadvam, or servitude, primarily manifested or perfectly manifested by Lakshmana, rendering personal service to the Supreme Lord in pure devotion, Sheshadvam, or servitude. And this is his commentary. Lakshmana implored Ram, take him to the forest by saying, please make me your servant. There's nothing inappropriate in this. My purposes will become fulfilled and your needs can be taken care of. So his purpose of his life, here it's plural, purposes, and that's just rendering service. Now, all living entities, we've heard this many, many, many times from our founder Acharya, the constitutional position of all living entities is servant. And we're going to serve someone or something. So serve your family or serve your children or serve your nation or serve your dog, serve your cat, serve your person in your office or the company that you work for. It serve. By nature, by constitution, there's no such thing as a living entity that's not engaged in service of some kind or another. It's where that service propensity reposed. And when that service propensity is reposed on the personality of Godhead, that's pure bhakti. And Lakshmana manifested that Sheshatvam, first of the 18 characteristics. Lakshmana told Hanuman, when they first met, you know this scene, at the base of Kishkinda mountain, and Sugriva saw these two forest dwellers dressed like um, you know, people that are living in the forest, but they're carrying bow and arrow. They're carrying weapons. So are they the friend or foe? So he sent his minister as Hanuman to go find out. So when Hanuman came before Lakshman and Ram, he immediately disclosed his identity. I am Hanuman, the son of Vayu. I've come here on behalf of Sugriva. He wants to know who you are and why you're here. So Hanuman replies, Lakshmana replies, I'm the younger brother, famous by the name Lakshmana. Captivated by his qualities, I become his servant, for he is grateful and considers little acts of service to be great. So this is Govindaraj referring to this statement by Lakshmana. This is his mood. This is him. Thus, the mood of service is imbued with appreciation for the Supreme Lord. That's Lakshmana. When Lakshmana was departing for the forest. This is the scene. There's Sumantra as the chariot driver and driving Ram and Lakshman. Lakshmana message to his parents conveyed by Sumantra upon Sumantra's return to Ayodhya from the forest. I do not consider the emperor as my father. For me, Rama is the brother, lord, and relative, and my father. The kind of obedience that Ramachandra had for Dasarath, just on his word, don't become the king and go to the forest for 14 years. And when Ram was going to go, I'm going with you and I'll be your servant. And whatever inconvenience you have, I'll bear that inconvenience so that you're not inconvenienced. So this is mood, a loving mood. So he viewed and treated his father, treated Ramchandra as a father. So when they departed, Sumantra is the chariot driver of the king, and Dasarath is the king. At least at this point, Dasarath hadn't died. So to carry a message back to your master. I don't consider my father my father. Ram is my father. Lord, relative, brother. So of these 18 characteristics found by written by Govindaraj, Keshatvam was the first one. Paratantriyam is the second one. Dependence or dependency on the Lord as exemplified by Bharata. So now we know what Bharata did. He just for 14 years, he was the servant of the shoes of Ramchandra, fully dependent upon the mercy of Ramchandra through the medium of his shoes. And Lakshmana's response when Ram requested Lakshmana to construct the cottage in Panchavati, considering the liking of all three of them. You know the situation. Panchavati, our two hostess. You two know the Panchavati reference? Yeah? Okay. So when they reached Panchavati, Ram turned to Lakshman. So he's the assistant. There's Sita, Ram, and Lakshman. So please build a cottage for the liking of all three of us. And Lakshmana didn't like it. Lakshman thought that the Lord Ram had separated Lakshman's pleasure from Lord Ram's pleasure. Lakshman, with joined palms, replied, I am but a dependent. As long as you are here, even if that be eternity, I will be submissive to you. Therefore, you tell me a place that is delightful for you. He's not a non-entity, but it's, I'm subordinate to you forever. So you just tell me what you want, and that's what I'll do. Don't say, for the liking of the three of us. Thank you. To that degree, these are statements made in Ramayana, and if one isn't sensitized to the mood of Lakshman, one might miss it. But these are statements made to help us understand his mood. Here's a nice painting. This is going to be a little description of the advent of the four brothers. So the painting is the shore of the Milk Ocean. There's Svetadweep, the Lord of Svetadweep, and Lord Brahma leading the demigods or offering prayers to the Lord, requesting him to appear in this world to deal with Ravana, because Ravana is a global terrorist. So they went to Brahma. Brahma went to the shore of the Milk Ocean. Purusha Sukta prayers, very similar to Krishna's advent. And then the reply came directly to Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma said very similar, a little different, with what the personality of Godhead Vishnu said to Lord Brahma when Krishna was to appear. Have the demigods take birth on earth first, meaning expansions of themselves. In this case, because of the benedictions that Ravana had received, please request the demigods to make expansions of themselves in the terms of offspring. Lord Vishnu promised to manifest on earth as Dasarath's four sons in order to vanquish the evil demon Ravana. So there's a nice painting depicting the same. And there's Lord Vishnu giving this benediction too, starting with Lord Brahman, then the rest of the demigods assembled there. Interesting artwork. So details and details and details transpired. Finally, plan was to have this yajna. Rishishringa became the priest, etc., etc., and they're performing oblations to have a son. This was planned. And much to everyone's amazement, when the final oblations were made, from the fire came this celestial being carrying a bowl of payasam, handing it to Dasarath and instructed him to distribute this amongst your principal queens. So behind him, those three principal queens. Here's a question. It's a detail. How many queens did Dasarath have? Three? How many? How many? You're the mathematician. How many? That was clever. 350. 350 plus three. Yes? There's a backstory. Here's the backstory. Contemporary, because Parashuram lived a long time, spanning yugas. So Parashuram was on the rampage to kill kings because kings had cut off the head of his father. So he wanted to eliminate the kings. So with his chopper, he would travel. However, he made two personal boundaries for himself. And one was, when there's a woman who was pregnant, he wouldn't kill the king, the husband, until the child was born. The second was, if there was a wedding going on, he wouldn't kill that king. So each time Parshuram came to Ayodhya, he hurried up and made arrangement for a wedding to happen. 350 times. 350. Plus three. So to his principal queens, the payasam was divided to his different wives. And, the division, here's just nice paintings depicting the scene. So the first half of the whole bowl of payasam went to Kaushalya. And then the other divisions, without going through how it all was done. Dasarath had four sons, born one day apart. First was Ramchandra, so there's a day difference between him and Bharata, and then Lakshmana and Shatrughna were born of Sumitra. So Bharata was the son of Kaikeyi, and that proved to be a problem for her, and a problem later. So Ram, the incarnation of Vasudeva, Lakshmana as Sankarshan, Bharata as the incarnation of Pradyumna, Shatrughna as incarnation of Aniruddha. And there's the reference for this is the Laghu Bhagavatamrita that makes reference from Vishnu Dharmottara. So now we have four brothers. It's a big baby crib. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, here's some statement. Sri Ram and Sri Lakshman, who are plenary portions of Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram respectively, entered into them at the time of Krishna's and Balaram's appearance. The purport, quote, from the Padma Purana described that Lord Ramachandra is Narayana and that Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna are respectively Shesha, Chakra, and Shanka. Sounds a little different, doesn't it? In Rama Gita of the Skanda Purana, Lakshman, Bharata, Shatrughna have been described as triple attendants of Lord Ram. Now, how to understand that distinction? Well, one of the ways that's very common is different days of Lord Brahma. There are different sequences according to different days of Brahma. But already discussed, Lakshmana, like Lord Balaram, is the original spiritual master. There's a whole section in Chaitanya Charitamrita focusing on Lord Balaram, and one of the functions of Lord Balaram is the same. He is the original spiritual master, Adi Guru, Lord Balaram. And that's the same as Lakshmana. What am I doing here? Okay, there we go. Okay, so there's the twins, and then the second son is Bharata, and the first son is Ramachandra, born very close to one another. This is the B.G. Sharma painting of the same. There's boys are a little bit larger now. And in Valmiki Ramayana, there are no specific childhood activities of the four boys. Like we have extensive description of that in Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So there's not a comparable part of, but there's a general description in 14 verses, Balakanda, chapter 18. Here's the verses. Speak about their childhood up to the age of 12. Then the action begins at the age of 12. Because at the age of 12, in Vedic culture, young boys were commonly married. So he began to contemplate. From the very, very, very beginning, although they were just little children, Lakshman was very affectionate towards Lord Ramachandra. The etymology of his name, it comes from Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. So Lakshmana is one who is rich and with the wealth of service to Lord Ram. This was the meaning of his name. It was given from the time of his birth. Bharata was equally dear to Shatrughna. So there's not like partiality. It's just a natural affection that one may have for another. And because the system in Vedic culture was there's a guru for these young Kshatriya boys, sons of the king, they were trained in military skills. They were trained in other skills as well, but in a formal way. So here's their training in military skills, B.G. Sharma indicating. This is even before Vishwamitra Muni came to visit Ayodhya and made his request. Raman Lakshman with sage Vishwamitra Muni. So they're now already trained, and Vishwamitra Muni wanted these two 12-year-old boys to come with him. And Dasarath went, I'll go. We must come. And Vishishta said, you better do what he wants. Don't anger him. You have a problem. So there they go. Vishwamitra taught them some powerful mantras. to conquer sleep, tiredness, fatigue. He narrated pastimes of various holy places. He's highly elevated and highly learned and affectionate, like father-like person for these two 12-year-old boys. And then he wanted them to deal with uh, and so with a whirlwind of dust and this and that, he the two brothers killed her. That's another interesting topic unto itself. The first demon killed by Krishna was also a female. First demon killed by Ram was a female. And was there wrongdoing because she was a female? Vishwamitra bestowed upon them the gift of celestial weapons. After their victory, Vishwamitra was a powerful personality. So he was able to do all these things because there were more challenges awaiting for them. Um, he was going to have a yajna, and guarding the yajna were the two brothers. And, they met the challenge. Here's Mricha and Subahu. That's the other one's name, right? Subahu. The one was killed, and the other was shot with an arrow, went soaring through the air, and landed in the ocean. Mricha. There they are, throwing down, bad stuff, blood, urine, blood, there's bones, half decomposed bodies to defile the yajna because the yajna is very powerful. And then he had a further plan to make the arrangement for Sita to become the wife of Ramachandra. With a divine arrangement, not only those two, but the other three brothers also were, a marriage arrangement was made at the same time. Lakshmana accepted Urmila. There's a very nice, I like very much, description of what happened when Ramachandra was told by Kaikeyi, because Dasrath couldn't utter it, don't become the king. Bharat will become, my son Bharat will become the king. And you go to the forest for 14 years. You know this one, right? Yes? No? I'm asking him. You're familiar with the two wishes of Kaikeyi? Yes. Okay. A, a nod will help. Yeah. Okay. So one of the passages from Ramayana that I like especially is as soon as he heard Kaikeyi utter those words, his response was, "Is that all, mother? I'll leave today." No, she was very happy, and Dasrath was devastated, and everyone else was devastated because they had love for Ram, and he's going to leave for 14 years and not be our king, which is unlawful because the eldest born son is the next king. But then the king can order otherwise. That's also possible. So he's ordering through her. Anyway, when he went to Ramachandra went to inform his mother, his wife, and Lakshmana, three people. And when he went to inform Lakshmana, he was making some noise, and because Urmila, Sita's sister, she liked painting. You know the story? You know the story? That she liked painting. Urmila liked painting, so she was painting a painting of the coronation of Ram and Sita by his side. That was the painting she was working on, in her own room, private room. But Lakshmana came to inform his wife, I'm leaving. I'm leaving with Ramachandra. But so she wasn't startled by the word. She was startled by some sound. And so the paint that she had all spilled on the easel and it spoiled the painting. And so it wasn't like attached to the fruits of her work. It was a work of love. And then when Lakshman came, then she understood why this happened. He described to him, I'm not just, yeah, you're such a noble person. Hearing this from Ramachandra and you want to go with him, please go with him. Be happy because she knows him. She knows her husband. She wants her husband to be happy. So she was happy that he was happy, and such a noble person to take this uh, uncomfortable 14 years service of being with Ramchandra in the forest. She was happy for him. That happened later. So after their wedding, the other two brothers were also arrangements were made for their marriage, and there's so. How old was Sita when Ram married Sita? Ram was how many years old? 12. 12. And how old was Sita? There are two versions. One was she was 5, another was she was 6. That's not modern times at all. But that was the circumstance at the time. And that as Dasarath was concerned about his sons being married, so Janaka was concerned about his daughter being married at 5 or 6. And so there was a Swayamvar ceremony. Who's going to marry this 5-year-old, 6-year-old girl? The times are different. Then came the time when they're back in Ayodhya, and this painting depicts a lot. Ram, Dasarath consulted at the right time for Ram to become anointed Prince Regent, the next incumbent king, not anoint him as king, but the incumbent king, formalize it. And Kaikeyi, when she heard, she thought this is very nice, but there's mantra polluting Kaikeyi on the right side of this painting. And, the details and details, scolding, because she was, she had a certain personality and she had access to the queen, like the maid servant will have. And she was able to say heavy duty things to the one she was serving. And Kaikeyi, first thought she was joking, and then she understood she's serious. And there she is on the right side, poisoning Kaikeyi. You foolish woman. You know what this means. Why is this happening while your son is out of town? Why is it happening this way? There's conspiracy. When he comes back, they'll try to kill him, and your son is at risk, and you're enjoying like anything. You foolish person. So saying all these bad things, she gave her the memory, asked for these two boons that she had asked for. So there she is asking for the two boons. And Dasrath looks pretty complacent. But after he hears what she has to say, no. There's mantra in the background, hiding behind the door. Poor Dasrath, devastated. When Lakshman heard, he was like, "You can't go without me. You have to come with me. I have to go with you." He was ready to. Here's Ramachandra holding his hand, so he was going to use his sword to chop Kaikeyi. No, no, no. Ram speaking to Kaushalya. There's Lakshman right behind him. There's Sita right behind him, by him also. So that concludes our part one. Now, I'll go back to the very beginning. So there was some discussion before I reached here. What would be a nice topic to discuss during this visit to Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday, etc.? So that the decision was made that the personalities from Ramayana. So I thought a good person to begin with. I mean, it was kind of like, could we speak about Hanuman? Should we speak about Lakshman? Lakshman. So there's more to say about Lakshman, much more to say about Lakshman. But the intimacy of affection and fidelity of loyalty, even when the most difficult of circumstances came. This is according to Rupa Goswami. There's a symptom of love is where, regardless of whatever the circumstances may be, the affection and affinity won't break, and that's a symptom of prema, by definition, by Rupa Goswami. So Lakshmana is such a person. Very, very difficult circumstances. Very, very difficult circumstances. Phew. Very difficult circumstances. Left in charge of Sita to chase the golden deer, but stay and protect her. Or when in another situation where there's after Shurpanakha was disfigured, there's the nice, very nice painting. There's Ram and they're meeting the 14 generals and the hordes of Rakshasa armies, and there's Lakshman and Sita up in him guarding her up in a cave. His life was whatever Ramchandra wanted. Understanding the power of Ramachandra is without limit, so he doesn't need anyone to protect him. But whatever he wants, that's me. It's a very strong statement he made. We read this in the beginning. One more very difficult circumstance. Very difficult circumstance. When it was time for Ramchandra's pastimes to end, it's different, but there was some similarity in when time for Krishna's pastimes to end. So death personified or time personified, Kala, came in a disguise. And as a brahmana in disguise. So when he came, immediately Ramchandra wanted to honor him and serve him very nicely. And he said, "There's something I want to discuss with you, sent by Lord Brahma, but it has to be in confidence." So Ramachandra said, "Very well, whatever you like. Lakshman, please replace the guard at the door. Make sure nobody comes in." So death personified or time personified informed it it's time for your pastimes to end. You're going to have to depart. I mean, I know you wish to depart, so please make arrangements so that you can depart. But there was a problem. There's always a problem, right? Even you're with Lord Ramachandra, there may be problems. So Durvasa Muni came with the 60,000 associates, followers, and Lakshmana is at the gate, at the door. And I want to see Ramachandra. Uh, he asked me to. He's busy, so could you just wait a little bit and surely he'll be free in a little while. You don't understand. I've been I forget how many days. I've been fasting for some number of days, for a month or something like that. What was the number? You don't remember? Anybody here remember how many days he was fasting? Durvasa Muni, 1,000 days, something like that. Something like ridiculous. And I'm really hungry. So he came before Ramachandra, and Ramachandra said, sure. And they prepared something for him. And he was so satisfied that, he then offered Ramachandra anything you like. So, I don't, your association is all that I want. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do some service for you. And he left. But Lakshmana knew that Ram had given his promise and he can't break his promise. So Lakshman came before Ram after Durvasa Muni left and said, you have to kill me because you gave this pledge that if anybody enters, you'll take my life. So please take my life. He said, I can't take your life. What are you asking? You have to banish me. I can't do that. You have to. You must keep your vow. So he banished him from Ayodhya, which is how difficult. He is who he is, and he has to leave because Ramchandra took a vow, because that's what's important for the king, uphold his word, utmost importance. I'm going to end with this. There's a nice verse in the 5th canto, chapter 19 of the Bhagavatam, describing Jambudvip, and where the personality of Godhead can be found with his associates, Hanuman and others. So the verse says that the eternally connected with the personality of Godhead, Ramachandra, are Sita and Lakshman, and it's simply not possible that he could have sent them away. It's not possible. This is Bhagavatam, 5th canto. Not possible. So when it is certainly Ramchandra sent Sita away. It was not only possible, he did it, but it was a Leela. And then, of course, after some number of years, she came back. And Lakshman didn't come back. But they're not separate. That's the point is. Lakshman was given services to do that were very, very, very impossible, more than difficult, impossible. Send Sita away, banished. There's more to that story. That's another discussion. We'll go to part 2 tomorrow, I guess. Any are there any devotees in this room that are particularly lovers of Ramayana and Ramachandra Katha? And yeah, back there. Okay. Oh, oh, okay. Any comments or questions? Yes?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Can you hear me?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Try again.
Hare Krishna.
A little better. Can you do anything with the volume? No,
Was it
just turn
okay?
the back of the speaker. There's a volume control. No? Look at this.
Hare
Look
Krishna.
at that machine. Woo, woo. Does it fly? Go ahead.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Make three things.
Three.
Yeah, three. And one is a thought, and the other are questions. And the thought is just on top of what you said about the difficulties that Lakshmana has to endure
Hmm.
as a younger brother of Lord Ramachandra. And I think, and then later on in the later yuga, he was he is incarnated as Balaram and Nityananda
Yeah.
respectively.
Yes. That's
I
right.
think it's a little bit interesting from that point of view because here he is the younger brother, and in the later two incarnation he is the
Older brother.
older brother
Both.
twice.
Yeah.
And it's well, it may not be uh, uh anyway. Just I feel like it's almost like he is uh because in this incarnation he is a perfect he is perfectly subordinate to
Yes.
Lord Ramachandra,
Yes.
and perfectly demonstrated his position as a younger brother,
Hmm.
and and he has to carry out many orders that are difficult due to being a younger brother. And then he like changed his position from the younger brother to the elder brother, and so that he could have a little bit superiority over Krishna, over Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to still serve him better.
Yeah.
And that's the thought. Uh, the first question I have is um, maybe more related to Lord Nityananda. You told that Lakshmana uh, in the Kali Yuga is represented by Lord Nityananda. I think from a genealogy perspective, uh, the elder brother of Lord Chaitanya is Vishvarupa,
Yes.
and um, I'm just wondering, uh, because like from this perspective, the relationship between Vishvarupa and Lord Chaitanya is more similar to the relationship between say Balaram and Krishna. And so I'm just thinking, is there any place that um, talk about, say, the divinity, or if there is any such reference to talk about the divinity of Vishvarupa?
No. Not that I'm aware of. Anybody in the room aware of any description of Vishrup and in relation to his divinity? I'm not aware of any reference like that. And it's not quite like, you know, Lakshmana became Vishrup as, you know, the elder brother because Nityananda is not, they're not brothers. They're not blood family brothers, but their relationship is like that. And Nityananda serves as the Adi Guru in relation to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Lakshmana perf- performs according to Ramachandra. No, and in wanting to be in service. wanting to be in service. That is, Jagai Madhai, the service that was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Haridas Thakur and Nityananda. Take this message of the chanting of the holy name and distribute it widely. So that the service of assisting the mission of the master was Nityananda's mood. We don't hear anything like that about Vishwarup, for different reasons. He's the elder brother and he left home and many other things. But back to your question. Is there any reference to the divinity of Vishwarup? Not that I'm aware of. It's a nice topic to look up. There may be some reference somewhere about something. Huh? Quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is Rupa manifestation of Vikas. Any detail? Manifestation. The second member of Chaitanya. Could you do this? See Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary on that particular reference, and see what you can find. You can report to us tomorrow. Okay? And manifestation, what does that mean? Because Nityananda is Shankarshan. So what does it mean? That's the key. Go ahead.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. The last question is the well, it's the I have been thinking about the 14 years exile into the forest, and I just maybe want to ask about the 14 years of the significance for having this magic number, because for two reasons. One is in the Treta Yuga, the duration of life is extensively long,
Yes.
and Rama say he ruled the kingdom for like 11,000 years per
So what's 14 is a drop in the bucket.
Valmiki Ramayana, and then 14 years is almost like nothing compared to that long period of life. And the second reason, reason is kind of I remember I read that verse before about the 14 years, and the exact language is not directly 14. It's 9 and 5 years. It's so I'm like this 2 point make me kind of trying to understand what's the mystery here. 9. I mean, you can say it's a has some.
Both people that know math, you're certainly one that knows math. It's 14. Now, those of you that are lovers of Ramayana can add or correct as you like. My training when it came to why 14, what's magic about 14, is it is understood. It's a standard understanding that in someone's absence, the replacement king, everyone will become quite accustomed to the replacement king in that magic number of 14 years. Thus, 14 years. Now, Bharata didn't accept, but that's another detail. But why the magic 14? Because people would become accustomed to whoever is the king in a period of 14 years, or even if they wanted someone else as the king. That's the reasoning that I was trained and understood and never pursued it further. And you're pursuing it further. Anybody in the room have some additional magic 14? Why 14? Yeah. Okay. Good point. Yeah, good point. You're mentioning this now. A little bell is ringing. That not as clearly as you said it, but that no, this 14 years is nothing compared to 11,000 years. Still, that law or rule was existing, however long the duration of someone's life was. That it was a rule. Okay. You have something further on this point, or something else? But on this point, or something else? Okay. You don't have a portable one, huh? This is the portable one. Look at it. Gotta carry it back. Go carry it back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh,
Dandvat
loud and
Pranam.
clear. How come his is so loud and clear?
A loud mouth Maharaj.
Oh, you got this one. Okay. Okay.
Dandvat Pranam. Maharaj, many years back you had given a very nice explanation as to why Krishna is the color of Sham Sundar. He's the ocean of rasas, and each rasa unique, each jiva is unique, has a particular color, and all those hues, when it's amalgamated, it becomes the color of Sham Sundar. Now, when Ramayana, uh, in some places, he's described, especially North India, as bluish in color, like Vishnu. And in the South Indian tradition,
Green.
he is greenish hue.
Like a tree.
Yes, like the Dhruva grass is what they
Yes.
mention.
Yes.
So Maharaj, I've been trying to find out why he's that color. Like just as Krishna is the
Well, he
color of.
doesn't need an excuse. Here's my response.
Yes.
The poets may say,
Mhm.
but that doesn't give the reason why.
Okay.
It's true. You mix all colors, you try it, and it comes out, this
Mhm.
muddy looking, bluish looking. But that's not how his color is derived, because he's the combination of all colors.
It's allegorical.
It's just his identity, eternal identity. So I might say it again. It's a poetic description, which is nice, but it doesn't. Yeah, this isn't as loud as that one. It isn't as compelling as that's just his eternal color. Now, described in the north and described in the south, it's like it different perspectives from different folks.
Mm.
Let me ask you a question. Which Ramayana did you grow up with?
Maharaj, with Valmiki and a little bit of Charitamrita, Tulsidas.
I've had there's the last 2 times I've been in places, there are persons that know Ramcharitmanas like the back of their hand.
Yes.
Because they grew up with it. And so based upon that source from which one is accustomed to hearing, then there can be this description or that description. There are differences, not necessarily different days of Brahma, but different scriptural sources. And then there's other Ramayanas and other versions also. So that's my answer to this question. You want to know why there's different persons of different culture, and they have different way of depicting him. But it's a darkish hue. Exactly which darkish hue depends on what part of India you're from. So what's his real color? If that's that's not exactly what you're asking. How does it derive this depiction or that depiction?
Mm.
Poetic. That's my answer.
Maharaj, may I follow up with a question? So like this we see, in what is called authoritative scriptures. They can be about the same thing. It talks differently and makes sense. It could be poetic. Then the question or the doubt arises: is is this interpretation, or is it speculation, or how do we handle such a thing? It says A, and then someone else is saying B, and they both are. Shouldn't it be, Guru Sadhu Shastra, the saying everything aligned?
That's a nice question. I would say the best way to answer that question, the question that you're asking, is the gold standard Valmiki Ramayana, and what is the exact manuscript of Valmiki Ramayana say
Mm.
as far as color, and then you have the answer. And then different parts of the country, they may render it this way or that way, but what is it? So what's the manuscript, original manuscript? It's one of the difficulties, one of the primary difficulties with Mahabharata. Like, what's the real manuscript, please? That's a problem. Now, there are different renderings of Ram's pastimes in so many Puranas. Like this Kurma Purana, this example, that's right in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, was Sita kidnapped or not? And it's not explicit in many places. It is explicit in this one place. And therefore, it makes its way into Chaitanya Charitamrita, but there's some other places don't even mention it at all. So different versions of the pastimes of Ramachandra can differ from different Puranas. But at least for me, and for many, 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 the gold standard is Valmiki Ramayana. And so what's the actual manuscript say? And I don't have that access. Does anybody here have the answer to this question? What is the exact Sanskrit word for the color of Ramchandra's hue, his duty, his luster? I know some devotees that have that kind of skill, and they have dear friends in the Sri Sampradaya that are fastidious lovers of Ramayana, and I'll see if in the next 24 hours I can get an answer to that question. What is Valmiki Ramayana? Because the other Ramayanas might say other things, but what does Valmiki say? What's the Sanskrit word, and what's the proper meaning of that Sanskrit word? Could you send me a text message about that, please, for point? Someone else. We'll pass the microphone over here. Who has it? Okay. No, there's being recorded. So
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Thank you very much. It's so beautiful class. And it is very difficult to understand from such a material concocted mind. But my question is, you have said that Rishi Sringi was the Rishi Sringi
Rishi Shringa.
who was doing the Putra Kameshti Yagya for Dasrath Maharaj.
Yeah.
And is it the same Rishi Sringi who has given the curse to Parikshit Maharaj? And
No.
no,
No.
because these are two different yugas. Yeah. It's the beginning of the Kali Yuga, and that was the
Different.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And there's a lot of detail about how he became who he became. Lot in Valmiki Ramayana. So it's very different, very specific and different, both.
Oh.
Okay.
And the second question was the first point that you mentioned today was the qualities of the Lord Lakshmana. So can you go back to the first point, Maharaj?
Sure. This?
Yeah, Sesatvam. So Sesatvam, from her listening this word, I feel that it has some connection with the
Anantashesh.
Anantashesh.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, the same dhatu, but it's not the same person. The word has the same Sanskrit root, the verbal root.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Okay.
thank you, Maharaj. Yeah.
It's not equating the two persons, the two entities. There's a question in the back.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the class, Maharaj. I was wondering, you mentioned that Krishna and Lord Rama both killed the women first.
Yes.
So, any reason why this happened? Basically, that in both cases the women came.
There are multiple reasons, and somehow something happens when you get older. One of the things that happens when you get older is memory gets weaker. There's maybe somebody in the room that has the answer to that question, and otherwise I can just add it to the list that he's going to send me, so I can provide you with the answer. Anybody in the room have the answer to that question? You understand? Everyone understand the question? Your answer to that question? You're not sure, huh? Okay, we don't want to hear that. I know the right go-to persons to get the answer. So it's going to be on the list. And tomorrow, if you're here tomorrow, if you're not here tomorrow, we'll give you the answer anyways. If you're here tomorrow, then you'll hear it directly.
And one more question, Maharaj. As you mentioned about lovers of Ramayana, so I mean, I have heard Krishna Katha and Ram Katha both, but there is something special emotion or feelings comes when you hear about the Ramayana characters, Ramayana Katha. Is that individual, or is that it is some, or Ramayana is something special? Then
So speak it again. Speak slowly. The punchline of your question is?
So Maharaj, my question is, when you hear Krishna Katha or Krishna Leela versus Ram Katha or Ram Leela, Ramayana, for my personally, I feel more different emotions or different feelings when I hear about Ramayana or Ramayana characters than Krishna Katha or Krishna Leela or Mahabharata Katha, basically. So is there the Ramayana is something special, or is it individual to individual?
I'll give two answers. Yes, individual, and second, also depends on from whom you're hearing. I'll give a little example of that. Just recently, I heard the recording of Parshad Prabhu's recitation or his seminar on beyond Bhoga and Tyaga. Part 5, I was in tears because because he got into it with such emotion as the reciter, and the topic was also in relation to Krishna, but it was and Radha and Radha's separation and what Krishna did, and I was in tears. I mean, it wasn't boohoo. I was just like I couldn't control the flow of tears. Just very natural, the heart moving event. And similarly, I'm not a lover of Ramayana like some people are. I'm familiar to some extent, but it's more the story than the rasa. But when Nityananda Pran recently, did he come here? No, not yet. He will, I'm sure. I've seen the video recordings, and it's not, haven't been present with there was one that was live, and unabashed tears. And it's the person as well as the kata. And then there's me. Then I'm not a crybaby, but it wasn't. I didn't think, hey, let me hear this kata so I can cry or something. It just happened. So I invite you, and I'm inviting you, listen to part 5 of Hariparsha Prabhu's class on Beyond Bhoga and Tyag, and you can cry. I cried. And then hear some of Nityananda Pran's recordings. If you don't know where to get them, you can help him find how to get them, and you'll cry. I guarantee. Guarantee. You won't have to try. And it's that kind of literature, and recited in the way where the person who's reciting has Ram Bhakti, then Bhakti Rasa is going to stir your heart. Because both. It's the person, you, and then it's also the reciter. Okay. Anything else?
One more question I can
I
ask.
thought so.
Like you mentioned, Rashad Maharaj, he used to go for wedding whenever Parshuram comes. He will go for the wedding place. So how come he knew that Parshuram is coming, and how come he was able to arrange going to the weddings to skip
This
it?
little girl, could you sit down? Because I'm trying to have eye contact with the speaker. Go ahead. Try it again.
Yeah, Maharaj, you
That's
mentioned
350 times. So what do you want to know?
Yeah. So how come Darshad Maharaj was smart enough to know that Parshuram is coming, and he would go to the wedding
Oh, I
place?
don't know. He had spies. I don't know.
Yes, fine. And did other kings also use this trick? Did other kings also try to use the same trick to get married during
I don't know what they did.
No.
I'm only repeating what I've read from, authorities, acharyas that I trust, and repeating what they have written. I don't know if that's in Valmiki Ramayana. I don't know. I could go back and find out what the source is. If you want, I can report that. But how he knew and why other kings didn't do the same thing, I don't have that answer. Spies did. Here he comes. Arrange wedding. Because he is a king. He had some understanding of Parshuram isn't going to interfere. So why didn't other kings do this? Did other kings do the same thing? I don't know.
Thank you.
And that's one I'm not going to try to research either. Okay. Anything on this side? Yes. One last question over here.
I'm sorry, I joined a little late, but when Lakshmana said that he wanted to be a servant to Rama, he convinced Rama and he came to the forest, right? But I want to know what Rama did for Lakshmana. I mean, as a brother, what was his duty? Making uh, I mean, Lakshmana was left his wife and he came alone and he sacrificed his whole life for Rama.
Yeah.
So, as a brother,
It's a reciprocation. That's what I got the question. Who's keeping score? He gave his love. Ask Lakshman. What are you getting from Ram? You're doing, love. And because that love, that the happiness of the beloved is the happiness of the lover. The happiness of the beloved is the happiness of the lover. So Ram loved Lakshman, and he's the beloved, and Ram was the lover of the beloved. And the happiness of the beloved is the happiness of the lover. Seeing Lakshman happy made him happy, and it what Lakshman happy. Don't say what's suited for the three of us. Please don't say that. You're not ordering him, but it's his mood. You could say the same thing. You could take the same the relationship between Yudhisthira and Arjuna. So what did Yudhisthira do for Arjuna? Yeah, gave his love. He was relying on him, and the happiness of Arjuna was to be relied upon. Whatever my brother wants, that's what I want. It's not mercantile or entrepreneurial, or I do this. So, but I understand the question you're asking. It's natural. When you receive something, you want to do something. Natural. That's love. So what did he give? That's your question. I understand the question. He gave his love, which is what Lakshman wanted. A willingness to accept his service. And because Lakshman wouldn't have it any other way. So he gave what he, he gave his love. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.